Love Soaps TV. I'm Roger Newcomb.
And I'm Damon L. Jacobs, author of Absolutely Shoulдлess, The Secret to Living the Stress-Free Life You Deserve. Still available on Amazon, if you could believe that.
Going to be always available on Amazon forever.
But people can still get copies of it. It's never too late. And we are so happy to introduce our guest, Will Clark. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Will, it's so great. We talked to you before in our audio podcast, and it's so great to have you here in our video podcast.
Thank you for having me back.
You're so welcome. So I am so excited about this show that we're doing today because we have, the three of us went to the All My Children panel at the New York Times earlier this week. It was so fantastic. We're going to talk about that and we're going to share some clips. Before we get into all that, and we're going to talk about you some more, but before, we're going to do a little interview with Cameron Mathison. Take a look. So, you started taping in LA.
Yeah.
Okay, what's that been like, doing this whole move, this whole thing?
It's been really tricky, you know, actually. Life is like that. It's, especially in this business, so I should be used to it. I've been very lucky that I've been on the same show for 12 years and been in the same place, but you know, the kids, it's different when you have kids and different. There's other aspects to it. You know, we really love New York. We're sort of settled here. I thought we'd be here for the rest of our lives, and you know, and then sort of the rug gets pulled out. But you just adjust. It's, you know, and LA's been great. Obviously, the weather is easy to get used to. I'm driving again.
What's that like?
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, truthfully, I drove a lot anyway. But
how long is your commute now to the studio?
Less than 15 minutes.
Okay.
I've got a shorter commute there than I had here.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's in the heart of rush hour. I can make it there in about 11, 12 minutes.
Wow.
So it's pretty good.
Not bad.
Not bad.
What do you think you're going to miss most about New York?
I think the energy. I think the people.
Yeah.
I think the most. I think I've always been in the Northeast, although I've only been in New York the last 12 years. It definitely suits me, and it's going to take some time to get used to California, and I know there's a lot of great things about California, but I really miss being here, and I miss the energy on the streets. I miss that New York feel, but you know, there'll be other things to enjoy there.
Yes. Now, one of the things that LA offers that New York necessarily doesn't is being much closer to the movie industry. I'm wondering if that's ever appealed to you, or if that's ever been in something you'd consider, thought about.
I think that opportunities will be more likely to take advantage of if they present themselves in California because of that, because that's where most of the stuff shoots. My part-time gig is on Good Morning America, which is here in New York. So I am anticipating coming back and forth. In fact, I'm coming in town next Friday for I think about 3 hours before I fly back again. So I'll be coming back and forth a little bit with GMA. And we kept our place here in New York.
Okay.
So I'm thinking about this as a sort of a temporary thing. Yeah, I'd love to look out for movies and other opportunities there, but my real kind of drive in my professional life is with Good Morning America outside of All My Children.
That's a lot of commuting, Cameron. What do you do on those long airplane flights? What do you do? What do you like to read? Do you like to?
Well, I prepare for the interview. So
okay.
if first of all, it's a red eye, I sleep.
Okay.
I hope. And if it's for an interview or a live stream, then I'll prepare for it, and then I'll just do some reading. I'm telling you, a long flight like that for me, I've got 2 kids, I've got jobs, I've got scripts, no emails, no cell phones, no children. I can watch a movie, it's a spa treatment.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Before we finish up, anything you can preview for Ryan for this upcoming year? Anything you can spill for us?
Something's going to happen for Ryan. Obviously, the people at home know already that Greenlee's back. He doesn't know. That's going to rock his world. Things with Erica are going to find a real solid place before that happens. So lots to be excited for in 2010.
Okay, so that was, I'm always curious to know when people are commuting from the East Coast to the West Coast, like what they do on airplanes. I know that, I also think that's like a time to sit back and kick, but I didn't know if other people.
He's tall like me. He's probably in first class though, and I'm never in first class.
Probably.
And I'm like this because the seats are like in my knee.
I always like it. It's a great time to catch up on my New Yorkers, my entertainment weeklies, and of course my soap opera digest. It's because it's fun airplane reading. You get through it and you put it in the seat back for the next person.
That's the only time I actually read a newspaper.
Yeah.
Like I read everything online. I read news, entertainment news, regular news, everything I watch or read online. But I spend like $100 on Star, National Enquirer, every newspaper at the airport, every possible thing, because I can't stand not having anything to do on the plane. So
I actually transcribe the interviews. That's my big thing.
Wow.
And the interviews, a lot of you have read interviews that have been transcribed between New York and LA, so that's a good time to do it. So, Getting back to All My Children.
Yes, All My Children.
So, I want to talk about the panel, but first let's talk about you a bit.
Okay, sure. I love talking about me.
I love talking about you too, because Will Clark, you do a phenomenally successful and wonderful charity event every single week here in New York City. Let's talk about that first.
It's every single Wednesday. Every single Wednesday from 8 to 10 at Pieces, which is down on Christopher Street.
The West Village.
And it's a bingo game, and we raise money for LGBT organizations, sports groups, theaters, HIV/AIDS organizations. We have a group coming up in March, the Silvio Rivera Law Project, which helps legal issues surrounding transsexuals. It's going to be a very exciting night. And we have a really wide variety of charities that we benefit. To date, we've been doing it for almost 5 years. We've raised over $100,000 so far.
Over $100,000.
And just dollar bingos, you know, like, I was so funny because I mentioned that to a couple of people in the gay press. I was like, oh, you've raised $100,000, and they're like, ooh, that's over the last year? I went, no, over the last 4.5, and they're like, oh.
But you're doing this.
So
you don't have corporate sponsorship.
I was all excited, and then like the bottom kind of fell out.
But that's a great thing.
That is a great thing, and you're doing
fun.
this because I mean you're pretty much a one-man operation. You
much.
don't have an agency, 501 status behind you. You don't have a corporation behind you. You're one man who's putting this event together.
I have a table in my living
week.
room. That's all.
And
I
that's
have.
it.
Yeah.
And from this event, you have raised over $100,000 for gay lesbian organizations in New York City.
You know, I'm just kidding
And that's
about the whole thing, but it's no, and we have a great photographer who comes in and photos the event, and then sometimes you'll fill in.
Sometimes I'm the
Sometimes you're the great photographer who
photographer.
comes in when AB cannot be there, and we've just added something. We've added a new feature. We've added a DJ.
Oh.
So we've always had like staff from the bar kind of like pitch in, and you know they'll fill in. And I was all very nervous because I thought, I'm gonna get a DJ and have them put visuals and get some music and arrange the singer because we have music entertainment. And I kind of thought the bar would be like, no, we don't really want that. And they were like, oh, thank God, we're so happy to have somebody just take care of the music every week. So it actually opens us up to doing a few more showy things with the event. So he just started last week, so we're going to give him a few weeks to sort of find his footing and see what we come up with.
That is exciting.
Yeah.
And I go there regularly too. And again, this is a place called Pieces at 8 Christopher Street.
8 Christopher.
Every Wednesday, 8 to 10. A wonderful, wonderful event. Very laid back, very fun, such friendly people, and it's such a good cause.
Yeah, and
why do they call it porno bingo, Bill?
Because we sometimes have porn stars, gay porn stars, I should say. I should add on that. And we give away adult movies, but we also have drag queens, and we have up-and-coming singers, and we have authors and comedians, and all sorts of other celebrities from the LGBT community. And we also give away like calendars and Damon guides, and we do a lot of different off-Broadway shows. We have some very generous theaters and producers and promoters that give us vouchers for different things. We've given tickets away for Joan Rivers.
Awesome.
She's at the Laurie Beachman through the rest of this month on Wednesday nights. She's fantastic if you haven't seen her show. I'm going to be just a one-man promo here.
Maybe we can meet her after and do a Soaps on the Street question with her.
Oh
That's
my gosh.
right.
She's hilarious.
That's
and
right.
We were sitting right up front on stage. She was like right here, and we were here, and so she was talking to us during the show. And you, when you're feeling uncomfortable about a joke, there's really nowhere for you to go because you're right here in front of her, and there's some really uncomfortable material, but it's funny. It's really So.
And of course, people can also learn more by going to willclarkworld.com.
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 Will.
That is the tongue twister.
I know it is.
Willclarkworld.com.
willclarkworld.com.
We'll continue to link to that as well.
Yeah.
Now, you have mentioned on your blog about your experience growing up watching All My Children. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. I started watching when All My Children when it started. Pretty much. I think I must have been like 5 or 6, and I'm 45 now. So it was around when it started. I started watching it. I remember very early episodes, and it's always been sort of a fixture. It was a fixture in my household growing up. My mother and my sister, we had a housekeeper. They all watched it, and we all kept track of it. And my grandmother even watched it, and she watched it until they had an actor who played Little Charlie, who was it Tara and Philip's son, and he was just mean, and my grandmother's like, I'm not watching that show until they get rid of that kid. He's terrible. And she stopped, and so it's always been this interesting thing when people say, I'm not going to watch again, you know. And I think that the networks and the shows, I think they kind of take that kind of like whatever, they're not going to really quit. My grandmother quit. She never watched it again because she could not stand that character because he was so mouthy and so mean to his parents, and she just, you know, and then went on and on and on, and she just couldn't take it. She just was a very old world person, and she couldn't take that kind of character. But
I remember, I think it was the first adult Charlie Brent. Is it Robert Duncan McNeil, who now is like the director of Chuck?
Is he? I didn't know.
Remember, he was like the late '80s. Robert Duncan McNeil was on.
He was on
Julie.
He was on
Julie
Voyager,
Charlie?
wasn't he?
Yeah, he went on to that show, but he grew out of the mouthiness.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they aged him by leaps and bounds.
Well, the thing is, if you don't like a soap kid, next year they're going to be in college.
That's right. That's exactly it. But you know, the gravy days of the '70s of Phoebe, and she's such a strumpet. She's a Harridan. You know, I mean, those are amazing times, and we don't have those. At least I don't think All My Children has that kind of character anymore. You don't have an Edna Thornton anymore. You don't have. I was thinking during the panel yesterday or the other day about the old woman who was Estelle's friend, and she was like Estelle and Benny's friend, and she was like this old woman, and she was like this kind of Mother Earth kind of cool woman, and she got mowed down by a car one day, and it was just this horrible thing.
One thing I complain about the last few years is just the show doesn't have a lot of heart. And one of the things that gave it heart, I mean, characters like Nina, younger characters that I really liked, and Brooke, but they had so many older character actors, whether it was actress Elizabeth Lawrence who played Myra.
Right, yeah.
So many of these great older character actors that kind of added in. They weren't like leading parts, but they added so much to the show. It kind of got rid of that. And I was sitting there on Sunday at the Times Center stage thinking, so the grandma of the show is like Erica. Erica has grandchildren, and Erica's always going to be like 16 or whatever, 21 to me.
She said perpetually 36 during the
Yeah, and what's funny is that they did a little quick scene during the show, she and Agnes, and she played a 16-year-old, and you were like, oh, I actually kind of believe that. Because I was
saying that to Damon earlier. Yes. She could play Erica at 16 again. She was so ready for it. We actually have a little clip from that we could play right now.
Do you want to do that?
Yeah.
Okay, so...
All right, here is Susan Lucci as Erica at 16 with Agnes Nixon playing her mother Mona, which Frances Heflin was Mona, and she died several years ago. But
and they performed this during the panel that we went to.
Yeah, they did.
They
did a
reenacted
reading of the
scene.
actual script.
So take a look.
How good evening, dear. Drag still. Chuck, you can call that being with anybody. Chuck Tyler, your grandmother, he's one of those people who your grandmother would have said was presentable. You can present him to anybody you like. I've known him since 6th grade. You have to turn the television on, honey. Beats talking. Really, Erica? I'd like to see the Late Show. The Late Show won't be on for 20 minutes, and you don't care anything about news. Could I please have a couple of minutes of your evening? Where did you go? Well, we didn't go anywhere, Mother. I drove over to the cellar, I ran into the presentable Mr. Tyler. We had some French fries, hopped into our separate cars, and went our separate ways. And that took all this time? Oh. No, I forgot to mention that I saw Phil Brent before I went over to the cellar.
Oh!
He's agreed to tutor me in math. I thought you were going to talk to Mr. Scott about that. I did. That's when I found out what his going rate was. I told you why I didn't want to be tutored by Mr. Scott. Yes, you did. But you never told me why you particularly wanted to be tutored by Phil Brent. He's a whiz, and I get along with him very well. which is more than I can say for Mr. Scott.
Also, Mr. Scott doesn't go steady with Tara Martin.
What has that got to do with anything?
Everything. Honey, I know you hate to hear me say this, but I know you like a book. When somebody has something, you want it. Then when you get it, you don't want it anymore.
Is there something wrong with that?
Yes, there is. I mean, you can't capture a man and then toss him overboard just to go looking for another man you can capture. Erica, it's not a checkers game.
Well, whatever kind of game it is, I have to win. I have to win.
For me, that was like probably my favorite part. I mean, I love the questions and answers, and especially with Susan and Agnes.
Yeah.
But that was really great because Susan, I was telling Damon, it gave me even more respect for her. I mean, obviously, she's amazing. She had those 19 straight Emmy nominations, and her work is well documented. But I didn't see those early scenes, and to see her be able to just go back there and play Erica like that again.
And that was totally how she was. She was this kind of defiant, petulant, sassy, teenage, vixen, and her mother's just this long suffering. Now, the only thing that could have added to that scene is if Agnes had just gone, "Oh, Erica," that would have been, because that was her sort of tagline.
But that's one thing that, talking about like character actors or the older actors, a lot of them have died in real life on that show.
Yeah.
I mean, All My Children did keep some of these people around until they died. Eileen Hurley, Ruth Warwick, and Frances Hufflin, and these people. So they did keep them around. It's unfortunate. And now it's like we have Joe Larson, and she doesn't quite fit that role. I mean, she does. She has a lot of heart, but I think more characters need these older characters to be sounding boards to kind of offer them advice.
It also offers some color. It gives it. I mean, I was watching on my way over here. I was watching today's episode, and there's sort of there was like two or three women in a room, all about the same height, all about the same length of hair. Very smooth, clean, clear, long hair, wearing the same kind of clothes, and they're sort of almost indistinguishable. I mean, and they're not because they're separate people, and the actresses have their various skills and talents. But you don't look at a scene now and go, "Oh, that's Phoebe and her husband Langley, who is another wonderful character actor who's on the show, they phased him out because he got sick towards the end of his life, and they just chose that, and I thought that was a very dignified thing to do. And then you go, oh, well, there's Benny, her chauffeur, and he's kind of this Italian kind of guy, and, but nobody was really like, it wasn't the model kind of plasticky kind of, everybody kind of looks the same.
Right.
And so I think that's where all the soaps, but specifically All My Children, because it started out so differently, it has evolved to this. I think it's very interesting, just the contrast. I'm less worried about it with like Bold and the Beautiful or one of those kinds of shows where they really started out with like everybody's models, everybody's beautiful, and that's kind of the point of the show.
Right. Well, what led you, as a long-term viewer of All My Children, why did you make the switch and tune out?
I made the switch. It was kind of a gradual process for me. It wasn't sort of an overnight thing. I stuck through a lot of questionable things over time, just random things that happen on every soap opera that you just kind of you roll your eyes and you just go, okay, we'll wait for the next 6 months and then the storyline will be over.
So you've been patient. You've sat through some of the garbage.
But I have to tell you that I started in like 2003 and 2004 with the introduction of Babe. I think I said this on the podcast too. It's sort of like my mantra, and because I've been saying ever since I moved back to New York in 2003 that I'm just convinced that ABC is just trying to kill the show because they brought on this character and she's basically a thief, and she should have been a great con artist and thief, and should have had a boyfriend in every port, and it could have been really great, but they tried to make her Babe this kind of beautiful, wonderful, or in Stewart's words, Babe is love. And the baby switch thing, and it was just so horrifically done, and then with the whole crossover and.
Now the crossover was actually very popular amongst many fans. But you're saying for you as a long-term viewer, this was just not.
I liked the idea of it because I liked when Ray Cummings kind of went back and forth from one soap to another, and I kind of like when Sky went from one soap to another in eras. I mean, she doesn't go between in one day, but I mean, she would be on one soap for a few years.
She has different parents on every show.
Yeah, right.
It's the same character.
Right.
I feel so sorry for that actor. She just has no idea who Sky's parents are. I don't think anybody.
We never did figure that out.
Her parents are the ones on the last remaining soap, whatever that turns out to be. If it's All My Children, then Adam is her father.
That's right. That's the end of it. But I didn't mind necessarily some of the soap switching. I just thought it was so blatantly. It just wasn't really all that well written. It was this. A lot of characters had to suffer to make the plot work. I mean, Tad had to be quiet. Dr. Joe had to be quiet. Et cetera, et cetera. People had to do things in order to make this plot work, and I just. I felt that wasn't being true to the spirit of the show or the spirit of a show that I wanted to invest my time in. And, yes, the reunion was fantastic because you waited for almost a year for it. And Eden Regal, is that how you pronounce her last name? She was so great because I saw her on some interview and they were like, getting your baby back yet? She said, not yet, because it was like 10 months, and she's just like, oh my God, I'm so over this. She had a smile on her face, and she had such a great, attitude about it.
That whole Baby Light story came right after the controversial rape story for Bianca, which is what made me tune out for quite a long time. As a long-term viewer, how did you perceive that storyline twist?
I have to say that it didn't bother me as much as maybe should have. Should have as like the, if you're a woman, you're going to.
We don't believe in should.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry.
Well, again, there is no should. With soap watching, there are no shoulds.
I forget.
It just is what it is.
No, I thought it was actually handled. I thought it was done believably, motivationally wise. I thought I could see the story going there. I could see the character going there. I remember specifically seeing that episode in an airport. I was going somewhere, I must have been going somewhere, and I had like an extra hour, and they had it on, and I watched it, and it's the storm, and it's dark, and it's the house, and she's, it's all this thing, and I guess what I mean to say is that everything that came out of it was actually useful story-wise. I really would love to.
You would have stuck with that.
That
was not a turn-off.
That didn't bother me. It's just sort of like the next year that kind of really started me tuning out. And then, Tad, the unabortion returning, and Tad killing, the doctor.
Ian Buchanan.
And, it's just...
Someone mentioned at the panel yesterday, and I want to show some clips from that, but, they kind of mentioned the first abortion or whatever, and it's like the show wants to take credit for it, but you unaborted the abortion. So you can't go back and then claim we were still the first abortion. I mean, I guess they were the first one that showed what was supposed to be an abortion.
Well, and Agnes Nixon, bless her heart, is the one who brings this up in interviews, and she's very proud of that story. That was her story.
It's a great story.
When the question comes up, and this happened at the panel, when the question comes up about the unabortion, they just kind of politely steer away from it.
They did that at the panel.
If you're going to do that, if you're going to rewrite television history, then do it for an actor that you're going to keep around for a long time. Do it for something that you're really going to invest in. I mean, Colin Egglesfield, nice guy and whatever, but he was one of those guys, you knew he was going to be there for a couple of years and then go to LA and not stick around for the show. And so they rewrote television history for like the flavor of the month, in my opinion.
I think that's a really astute observation that it was a very short-term gain. And I think that alone, that specifically speaks to a lot of the decisions that I've seen going on in the show for the last 5 years is short-term gain. And, short-term gain in some cases, I guess, is okay. But when you do it consistently and repeatedly, you kill off a character for short-term gain. You kill off Dixie with the Poets and Pancakes for some short-term gain because somebody's having a bad day, like either the actress or the producer or a writer's having a bad day about Dixie. So let's just kill her.
Cindy Penny's Julia.
Yeah, Julia, too. Like, there's when you start killing off all of your characters, and I actually had a problem with One Life to Live. They did the same thing. they stopped a little bit, but there was a time when you didn't have any sort of 20-somethings because they were all dead, and they were all children of legacy characters, and they were just like being wiped out one after another. And you can't tell me that you're not trying to kill a show when you're like, we're going to just wipe out all of our potential in the future leading men and leading women.
But do you think because of the ratings and these shows seem like very desperate a lot of the times, they don't really think what are we going to do 10 years from now? We need the next generation 10 years from now, because they don't think they're going to be around. They're just living for now, and they're desperate to get ratings up for right now because they don't think like 10 years from now we're going to need this legacy character. We're not going to be on the air. I don't think any of them think they're going to be on the air in 10 years.
I think that's also a great point. But if you start killing off of your legacy characters, you definitely won't have a show in 10 years because you'll have nobody on the show that anybody recognizes because they'll be dead in a pine box somewhere. So you have
Pine Box and Pine Valley.
In Pine Box, well,
Pine
that's
Box
what they
and
make
Pine
them
Valley.
is in Pine
So
Box.
But what do you consider legacy? I mean, what you might consider legacy character after 40 years, I think is different than what some of the producers of some of these shows think. Like Chris Galvin as World Turns, he has 54 years of history to work with. He even has the actress who uttered the first lines on the show in 1956. But the show is nothing about that. It's nothing really about those original core families. It's nothing about the multi-generational relationships we've always seen. So, you know, I don't think that what the producers or the networks see the shows the same way as a lot of fans do. And we saw on Sunday at this panel, almost every single fan that spoke said they started watching in 1970. They watched for 40 years.
That was really
a lot of them
There were
were
about 20 people who spoke. Who had been watching it for 40 years.
That
a lot
was
of
really
them were
incredible.
a lot of them were started when they were teenagers and they continued. These weren't like 90-year-olds. These were like people in their 50s. And a lot of, I think
40s and 50s.
Yes.
I'm 45, and
Three
there
or
were people
four
who were like
women.
40s and mid 50s. So we're all, you know, in the general same age.
3 or 4 women spoke or asked questions that were fans that were like the same age as Erica, and now they're in their mid-50s, and they had followed it this whole time.
And many of them said that they had stopped watching in recent years because they were disappointed with stories. Now the question that I have, that I'm not going to ask you at this moment, but I'm going to ask you in a little bit, you did watch the anniversary episodes, the 2010, so you stopped watching in 2004, almost 6 years has gone by. What did you think of last week's anniversary shows?
First of all, I didn't stop completely because, you know, like any addict. You always have to kind of check in, and it took a while. It took a while before I completely just stopped, and I probably just stopped because I just got so with the whole thing. Probably around 2007. Yeah, I actually took a day job, and so, you know, it was like, you know, I'm just going to clear my slate. I'm not going to come home and try to watch 3 hours of shows. And I used to.
They lost.
And I used to.
Yeah.
I used to because I've had, you know, day jobs. I've been a performer and a writer all my adult life, and I've had lots of temp jobs and you know, lots of long-term assignments, work and kind of things. And, you know, it was always the VCR or the DVD player or DVR player, excuse me. And you come home and you spend 3 hours, well, you know, with commercials and fast forwarding, you know, an hour and a half maybe.
Right.
But, you know, I get through 3 hours of material every night, and I would go through all 3 ABC shows. And at that point, I was so tired of The Mob on General Hospital, and I'd stopped watching that years ago. And I wasn't so thrilled about One Life to Live, but I was always on the fence about it. And then All My Children was like, okay, now I'm done with this. And I was really upset that I had to say that, because it was like, ugh, that's such a thing for me to say. I've been watching for so long.
So based on that,
I watched the anniversary issues, and what I thought that they were brilliant, that what they did, which was brilliant, which is something that they actually echoed at the thing on Sunday, is it felt like they were sort of resetting everybody's storylines to zero, and they were kind of saying to the audience, well, this is the simplified version of the last 40 years, and this is what we're going with. And there may be a few things that happened, but we're going to just blip over that because we know you don't like that. We're not so thrilled about it either. We're going to just... And that's what I kind of felt about the anniversary episode did. It kind of, it just kind of, by talking about Pine Valley, which I thought was a brilliant sort of approach to take, you really can reset all of your characters and redefine them, and actually I think Hanan Carruthers was saying we're going to refine our characters.
I definitely get the sense from the panel on Sunday, and even just everything I've heard the last couple of months. The show knows they got so far away from what they were. They are hitting like a reset button, and I think maybe this move to LA is giving them a chance to reevaluate things. Having some time off. They kind of finished on, I think, the December 11th. They didn't start until last week in LA, so they had like 3 or 4 weeks. I think they all really reevaluated things, and the fact that they're bringing Julia Barr back.
Oh right, that was the big news yesterday. That was so great.
They're bringing Julia Barr back. That when they first announced the cast, it didn't look like Joe Larson was going as Opal, and then later, like I think after Charles Pratt left, they announced Joe Larson's going to be on contract and moving to LA. So it tells me like.
Now wait a minute. Jill's not going when Charles Pratt was writing it, but then once he's gone.
Put that together, huh?
Well, it's just 2 people that have a lot of heart, which I like, are now going to be part of the cast. So that gives me hope. So I have felt like, even though we don't know who the head writer is or what's going on there, but I do have hope that they're reevaluating.
Right.
I don't know if it's going to be like 1981 or 1975, How Much Children, but
I'd take 1995. I'd even take 2000.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Whatever we've seen the last 5-6 years, I wish we could just time trip and say, yeah, that didn't happen. All these people are still alive. Let's just go back there and pick up from all the crazy, stupid stuff that went on. Now, one thing I wanted to mention, did you notice on the anniversary issue, I'm all comic booky, on the anniversary episode, how they flash back to Babe, but only used
the new Babe.
New Babe, which I thought was really interesting.
Damon watching it in my living room, and they kept showing her. Like the first time I was like, okay, maybe there's a certain clip they want to show, but then they kept showing the second Babe, which, like
if you didn't know better, you would say that actress was playing Babe for like a decade.
Yeah.
No, because like they showed so many clips.
They showed so many clips, and then you think like, is she
else.
coming back as Babe? Because they keep showing. Like, why would they feature the less popular actress in a role?
It was a very odd choice, and
to see her like multiple times. I mean,
it wasn't just like one little brief thing. It was like 6 or 7 clips.
I had a problem with the anniversary. Like I was talking with Damon before. We were kind of rehashing anniversary shows. For me, there's like the gold standard, Chris and Nancy's 50th wedding anniversary on As World Turns in 1986. It was like family, friends. It was such a feeling of family, and it just felt like that show. On As the World Turns 50th anniversary, they did 2 days, and one was dedicated to Nancy Hughes, which was okay. The other day, they spoofed classic sitcoms. So to celebrate 50 years on the air, they spoofed Laverne and Shirley, the Munsters, and they had the actors, people that had been on the show for 40 years, dressed up like Herman Munster and whatever. And I thought, yeah, it's a fun thing for the actors, and maybe to do it on a different episode, but to honor 50 years of As the World Turns, you don't spoof Laverne and Shirley. So that is the low point of anniversary shows for me. So this wasn't there, but it was nowhere near the best, because I was so excited that Julia Barr and Taylor Miller would come back, especially. And I had interviewed Taylor Miller a couple of months ago, and we saw her after that at a movie screening in New York. I talked to her a couple of days before she was flying to New York to record her part, and she said, I got the script, it's not much, it's not going to be anything. But I was still hoping, even though she said that, I was hoping that it was going to be more than she thought. Maybe it's not a full Nina episode, but we get to see something. Mm-hmm. But they didn't really appear in scenes. It was like they were talking like in Haley's segment. And now we know Julia Barr's coming back, which is good. It makes up for it a little bit. But to not have Erica and Brooke actually see each other and snark at each other live and in person is a crime to me, to have those two on the show for that.
Well, a different point of view is that I actually really enjoyed the anniversary episode. Like you said, I think it reestablishes the roots. It shows that they're still capable of writing something that has some heart and some value to it. And I thought it was a creative way. It was something that I hadn't quite seen done on daytime before.
Yeah.
And I think if you're going to have that many people come back for only one episode, and if there's really reasons why you can't have these people back for more than one episode, that was a good way to integrate everybody, so at least they had some airtime, and each and every person had some airtime. I'm a little cautious of the idea that they're resetting the show, because back in October of 2008, that's what we thought with the tornado. That was what they said with the tornado coming through and everything starting over, and we were getting over that whole Megan McTavish bullshit year from the year before, and everything's going to be okay now because we're starting over.
I would be happy. Preferred a real life thing, like Ray McDonald is retiring in real life.
Yeah.
I would have preferred a huge party. Everybody in that town has loved Joe Martin.
Yeah.
Joe Martin since the first day. So if Nina came back for Joe's retirement party, it would make sense. If Brooke came back for it, it would make sense.
Yeah.
And everybody could have been at the party. Erica could have bumped into Brooke for, even if it was 2 seconds, I wouldn't have cared.
Even just a look.
Just the look between those two would have been worth so much.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, now did you see? Now was the 35th anniversary the one? It was in the hospital. And they wheeled Ruth in at one point for a few minutes, or I'm sorry, they Phoebe in, wheeled her in. And I don't remember anything more about the episode. I just remember it was in the hospital. Now the 30th, or was it the 25th? And now I can't remember about that, but it was like a big Martin house party, and they had. I remember this one scene with Erica and Brooke and Nina, and
It's the 25th.
Was it the 25th? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And it had all these women, and they were all sort of like snarking on Erica, and it was really funny.
Yeah, I remember that.
It was really, and they were all like, and she was like, I have many female friends, and they're all like, oh God, don't talk to me. It was very.
I thought it was a little bit of like vanity episodes for Kelly Ripa, kind of looking up to Kelly Ripa. Because the entire Monday was like Kelly Ripa, and then sorry, Marcus Wales, he might as well have not even been there. And then, so yeah, I mean, if you have one episode, your budget doesn't allow you to do all this stuff, whatever. But
you know,
if you got all these people into the studio, or you book some time with them, because I think Maria Ava St. LaRue just taped it out in California, and they just sent it in. But it's still, if you've got somebody there, do something more with that. I mean, that was so great, and it actually made me hungry to see some of these people again. And I was surprised that I've never been a big Maria fan. I never disliked her, but just those little clips, I was like, oh, I would actually like to see her again. That's somebody that I would love to see come back.
Well, you know, we've talked a lot about the panel that we went to, and Roger, you've assembled kind of a collection of some of the highlights of the panel of the show that we saw the other day. So I'd like to run that and have people kind of judge some of these ideas that we've been talking about for themselves.
Right.
Their work inspired me, and I got more ideas from what Susan, for instance, would do with Erica. Gave me new ideas, and that's why the whole is greater than the sum of its parts in the daytime series.
My audition scene was Mona and a 15-year-old Erica Kane, and I read it and I laughed out loud, and I thought this was great. This is before the Brat Pack. This is before there was humor on daytime television, and the mother-daughter relationship was not a Hallmark greeting card. There was not a lot of respect.
Here you can tell how many marriages has Erica had as of the date.
Well, I bet the audience knows that too. Erica went into double digits a couple summers ago, so 10 marriages, but I think there was only 7 men.
And there was one that Erica stabbed. Is that?
Yeah, she was married to him several times.
He deserves that. There's not a show, I've never written a script that I didn't wish I had more time to edit.
Well, we do normally, the writing team puts together a long story projection, hopefully for 6 to 12 months of material. So we get an overview of what the stories are going to be coming up for the next 6 to 12 months. And then the team gets together every week and lays out what we call breakdowns, which are outlines of each episode. So they put together probably a 20-page document that will then break down the day in scene order with the actors and the sets. And then we will read that at the end of the week and see what those 5 episodes are going to be about, following along the lines of the story. We always, you know, has the ability to twist and turn and go, oh my God, we found something delicious, let's go this way instead of the way we were planning. After that document then goes to, after notes from the network and the producers and the writers, that document then goes to the script writers, and the script writers have a week to put each one of those outlines into script form. We get the scripts back, they go to an editor. The whole team reads the scripts again before the actors or the director actually ever see it. They get it hopefully a week before they perform it. I know Cameron and Rebecca have, I think, 6 episodes that they're learning today on the plane back that they'll be shooting this week in 4 days.
It was Ryan, and he's been cheating on her.
I'm not sure it's called cheating when you think somebody's dead. 100% sure it's called cheating when you think the other person's dead.
You're not supposed to move on, honey.
And we were friends because Ryan had been married to my daughter. And I had been engaged to his stepfather.
And I would run into people, in the street, and I thought they were going to ask me about my, my movies and stuff like that. And they were like, "Are you ever going to go back to All My Children? When are you and Jesse coming back?" And so, that always stayed with me because I think this is the one medium. You could leave, you could die and come back. And it's like you're welcomed, by the fans, like with open arms. And so.
Okay, so I just want to come back to. So Will, now we talked about you being a lapsed viewer, we talked about you watching the anniversary episode, we talked about you seeing the panel and seeing some of these great interviews. Based on all that, can you see yourself returning to watching All My Children, having this become a staple of your daily routine again?
Well, I've been watching this last week just in anticipation of this, and I can't say that I'm excited. I can't say that I'm excited about All My Children yet.
Okay.
I know it is still the old era, and so up until whatever in the next couple of weeks, I think. There's some promise there, and I'm enjoying getting to see some people again. It feels a little sterile right now, and a little vacant, and I don't know how to describe it other than just it feels a little vacant. And I just much prefer One Life to Live. That's just just get off track a little bit. As I returned to One Life to Live when they did their 40th anniversary a year and a half ago.
Yeah, 2008.
And they didn't do just one episode, they just did sort of like a whole bunch of storylines, which I don't think that they were all that successful. I think they were kind of goofy and a little cheesily produced and, sketchily written. But they were fun and they involved a lot of people, and I got sucked in again to the storylines, and I've been a day-to-day watcher ever since.
One Life to Live grabbed you.
Yeah, One Life to Live totally grabbed me, and I love how they integrate the entire cast.
Yeah.
It's just, you could have any kind of scene, and somebody could walk in from a completely different story, because it makes sense that Fish is a cop, so he's going to be in this scene and with Dorian or with so-and-so or with this person. And I really like that, and I don't find that on General Hospital or All My Children. I find that people are very much like, in fact, even on the panel, I felt like there was Cameron Mathison and Rebecca Budig and Susan Lucci all kind of talking, and Debbi Morgan was kind of like over there.
I kind of felt it was like the order of importance to whoever.
Well, I just thought that Debbi Morgan was there in the center, but yet those three were sort of talking to each other, and I thought, oh yeah, the few times I've seen the show, she is kind of off in her own little corner of the universe, and she doesn't deal with those people at all.
She deals with Madison all the time.
Yeah, and I watched 2 seconds of her, and I'm like, I have no idea who this woman is.
Yeah.
I'm not interested at all. I don't know who she, and I don't know who Marissa is. Is Marissa supposed to be her babe's twin sister? Or
Yeah.
It's like, don't kill off baby if you're just going to invent a new child like 2 seconds later to fill the void.
But these are the things as viewers I think that have frustrated us for a long time.
Yeah.
And it was so nice to see All My Children get treated with the respect and the love and the dignity that it deserves by the New York Times. I just really wish the show did that much for itself.
Yeah, I wish.
Yeah, the clip that they showed at the beginning, before they even introduced the panel, I thought was a better tribute to All My Children, and it was humorous. They went for humor a lot, but I thought it was a better tribute than the actual anniversary show.
I thought that too, and I thought, I'm being such a grumpy old man. But it's like this. But it's this maybe not even 5 minutes. It's just this great little montage of things, and it's very clever. And I'd love to see that.
It was respectful and also humorous.
And it really covered everything.
Yeah.
There was a lot of stuff in there that was not on the actual anniversary.
Because on
show.
the anniversary show, in addition to seeing like New Babe for 1,000 times, the clips were so fast they might as well have just been still pictures. Like they didn't actually show a scene, they didn't show a conversation. Like seeing that scene that they did the stage reading of, like the old in black and white or whatever. I guess it was in color at the time, but seeing that scene would have been priceless again.
So I hope, there's a lot for us to look forward to.
Yeah.
We're going to keep checking with you during the year to see if you're an All My Children viewer, and if so, if it can win your loyalty back. This is going to be 2010. All My Children cannot afford to lose any more viewers.
We're going to have a Will Clark loyalty index on the right side.
One of those thermometers.
Is Will watching? He watched 1 day this week, 2 days this week. But I want to thank everyone for watching us on the show today. WillClarkWorld.com.
Yes, WillClarkWorld.com.
You catch all the happenings going on. And thank you, Roger, and thank you everybody for
See you next time.
See you next time.